Turns out Jubilee had a debate amongst Israeli people and Palestine people on their show. The show is called, or the debate is called, Can Israelis and Palestinians See Eye to Eye? This is 4 years ago. So I'm very curious to see how this conversation will go. Let's do it.
The first statement is, someone I know has died because of this conflict.
They are gonna step up, huh?
Okay. My father was murdered by 2 IDF soldiers. It hit us hard, especially for my family. We're only girls. And inside of the Arabic nation, that's really hard.
My friend, when I was 10 years old, Israeli sniper shot at her on her head. So that was really hard for us.
No, I grew up during the second Intifada. I carry a list with me of all my friends who were murdered in terror attacks. So I have a list of 27 people that were actually very close to me. In Israel, we have a Memorials Day, so I have always a dilemma to which grave to go to.
On 16th of January 2007, an Israeli soldier shot and killed my sister Abir. She was 10 years old, in front of her school, and I was 13. We were 6 kids in the house. After that, we became 2 sisters and 3 brothers.
All of the people that I know have lost someone to the war in some way. And I think like grief is such a universal emotion. And like I want to hug all of you.
I serve in the IDF. I still serve in the Army Reserves, combat. I was very combat in the second Intifada, and I feel your grief, and I understand it, but I have to say that I never got an order to shoot someone. The order was only to shoot if someone is a threat to your life or a threat to someone else's lives.
I also served in the IDF, and they really do just teach us to defend ourselves. If we're not defending ourselves and we do kill someone, we go to jail.
That's not true.
But
That's not true.
I can tell you something. The soldier that killed my sister, he didn't spend 1 day in jail.
Neither did my father. Both of them that murdered him did not stay 1 day in jail.
I believe a 2-state solution is possible.
Okay, I think the Palestinians, they will not stop saying that we want a country. So in the end, if we got to the point that we have our state and they have their state, so no problem.
It's going to be better for us to live all of us together, which is no state like Palestinian, no state like Israeli, only together and having peace together. Like there is no walls and there is no checkpoints, which has happened right now.
I'm with you. One state under Israel's sovereignty, and everyone's full equal citizen. All right? Okay, but under Israeli sovereignty, because right now why is that a problem?
Why should it be on one? Why should one religion control it? Why
It's
can't
not
the
a
3?
religion, it's a nationality. It's my nationality.
So if we said one state with the Palestinian, they control it, you can live under it?
No, because
So
because A, it's not your land. B, you mentioned Jerusalem.
you can't tell me that, please. Don't say that.
I'm saying 100%. Palestine used to meant.
I can ask you one question?
Yes.
Please answer it. Your grandfather, you know where he is?
Yes.
Where he is?
To give me how many graves you want me to count?
7 before.
7 before, I know, yes.
Where?
7 before is in Hungary.
In Hungary. 9 before, he's in Palestine. Don't tell me it's not your land.
I'm saying it's not your land.
It's our land. And it will still and will be.
Like, how do you determine this is our land?
This war not going nowhere, bruh. It's emotion versus reality. You saying something belongs to you is irrelevant to the reality of what you believe belongs to you can be taken away. That's basic fundamentals of survival of the fittest, right? I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying it's reality. And October 13th, 2023, regardless of what you believe, it is to be. It's literally violence over everything. Not saying that I agree with it. I feel terribly for the innocent lives that have been lost, and I feel terrible for the lives that have been lost for fighting for their rights, right? But that's the way of the world. Lands become conquered, become taken over, and it's whoever has the leverage, the numbers, and the power to maintain presence in said location, right? So like for here, Palestinians say this land is our land. It could be your land. I don't know, right? Israel say it's their land, but it's at the end of the day, it's whoever can fight for and maintain that land. And as of present moment, or there's nothing Palestine can do to defend themselves in totality amongst the Israelis. Like if the Israelis chose to do so, they could literally wipe Palestine off the face of the earth if they wanted to, right? I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm not saying it's right, I'm just saying it's a fact. And I understand the conflict that comes from it, right? With the way you feel about something being originally yours, it can be taken away. It can be taken away, right? I see it the same as the natives here in America. Natives were here first, but who is here prominent on this land now is because, I'm not saying it's right, I'm not saying it's wrong. It's the reality of the situation. The big bad wolf always wins until a bigger and badder wolf comes and take it away.
And will be.
Like, how do you determine this is our land and it's not their land based on what?
History, international law, interest, solidarity.
Yes, how about empathy?
I have empathy. I'm just not willing to give up on my identity and what I believe is mine.
I'm afraid of the other side.
When I say that I'm afraid, what I basically mean is I'm afraid of going into Gaza because I know that if I will go into Gaza, I might get shot, someone might kill me.
I think I hesitated a little bit because I don't think I'm afraid of the people on the other side. I think I'm afraid of the gap and sort of I'm almost equally afraid of, like, you know, that side taking all of the responsibility for what is happening, or this side taking all of the responsibility for what is happening, which is obviously not working.
Well, that's fair enough. I don't believe that all Palestinians are terrorists because that doesn't make sense. But I do believe that who is in charge, they're leading the Palestinians to, you know, hating us and in a way that, you know, it is really unfair.
That's what I wonder about the societal and political climate amongst there, like outside of war. Like right now they're in war, but just regular everyday routines. How do Israelis look at Palestinians for the most part, and how do Palestinians look at Israelis for the most part? You know, as far as racism, you know, superiority, inferiority, you know what I mean, freedom of movement, you know what I mean, like millions of other nuances that make this such a difficult thing to try to assess. You know what I mean? But I wonder about that. The living conditions of the circumstances of people's lives given the cultural, societal, and political climate. We don't know that. We don't know how it is to live there, and everybody's perspective is so vastly different from everyone else's, man.
I'm against what you said. They're not the Islam. Because Islam didn't say killing people or having blood. Don't belong that
But
to
what
the
about the
Islam.
radical Muslims? The radical Muslims that come and do these things, what do you have to say about
They're
them?
not part of us. We never accept them as Muslims because they're teaching hate. And in a way, I accepted what you just said about there's a big problem with our governments. They don't know how to talk to each other. And in my idea, I really think the people are the ones that should be talking to each other.
I agree, and I have to say I also don't think there's an issue with Muslims, but I disagree with you about the fact that it's about land. There are several peace talks. They were offered 97% of the land. 98 would have done it. I disagree.
But after deciding with the land, they came and they built more settlements.
What's wrong with Jews living in Judea?
Israeli settlements, civilian communities built predominantly on lands within the Palestine territories, which Israel has militarily occupied since 1967.
Would have done it, I disagree.
But after deciding with the land, they came and they built more settlements.
What's wrong with Jews living in Judea?
That's not the problem. The problem is that we actually talked about this land being for these people, and in the end, when we see Israelis coming in and actually building houses, that's showing us you guys don't want peace.
I trust my sources of information on the conflict.
Hell no. Hell no. Absolutely not.
I serve in the IDF, so first of all, I trust myself and my officers. I do think that a lot of the information I'm getting is not accurate, which is why I try to compare it with different sources. And I also
even trust the shit the government gets you, man. Like, you gotta do that shit on your own. That's such a difficult thing to do.
try to see it from people, what they think, what they feel.
I don't trust everything I see on the news, that's for sure. I do believe, again, there are two sides to every single story. But I do see things that are happening. For instance, things like the rockets that are striking or the stabs that are happening. Those things I do trust because I can see that they're happening and they're just unfair.
Like, I see the narrative being written as like I watch TV. I know how important and how powerful language is and how it can create reality. And like I can see it. I'm like, this is really dangerous. Like, on both sides, it's really dangerous.
Overseas media that I see, they're always against Israel for things that are not necessarily our fault.
I find it very funny because
Overseas media that she says are always against Israel?
Overseas media that I see, they're always against Israel for things that are not necessarily our fault.
I find it very funny because we look at it as and start saying that they're really with Israel, which is funny. I find it kind of funny.
That's crazy.
But no, I seriously do find the information that we're getting has more as an agenda to it from both sides.
I don't believe in social media. Like, from the Israeli side, gonna support Israel, and from the Palestinian side, gonna support Palestinians. People gonna be very confused, and I'm gonna be very confused about the reality.
So to say, but the question was the sources, so it doesn't have to be just social media and reports like this. Like, I also trust the reports that the Israeli security forces publish.
But they are
Don't
gonna
trust
write it in their
everything.
ideas, not about the reality and the situation, but their ideas. How do they see this situation? It's not really what happened.
I want political
They're
leaders
not finding
on my
any kind of
side
ground. I want political leaders on my side to make compromise for peace.
to make compromises for peace.
Why wouldn't you want that?
If we continue to do what we did until now, it's going to continue as it was now. And I don't see it getting better. Our leaders should have our lives and the best for us in their minds. And so
Never how
it's
it is,
not
though.
compromising. Like, peace is never compromising.
The Palestinian politicians, they in the end, they want a peace for themselves and for their people.
But that means Hamas.
In the end, they want a peace for themselves and for their people. But they have no power because the power, it's not in their hands, it's in the other side.
I would like for us to compromise only if you will be able to compromise. It doesn't make sense that every time that we have a war, it's always started by your side. The other day I just heard about, over 1,800 acres of crops have been burnt by, Hamas, who have been sending it over to Israel. Instead of, spending all that money in order to ruin us, why don't they spend it on taking care of Palestine?
One second. You're talking about Hamas. You're talking about Gaza. Gaza, it's so far from us. We don't know what's going over there. We don't know. If you can ask me about the West Bank,
He's in the West Bank.
I'm gonna answer.
Damn, that's interesting. See, I'm so far out from what's going on, bro. Like, you got a Palestinian here who doesn't identify with the Gaza Strip struggle. But from America, I'd assume the majority of people here are going to group West Bank, Gaza together, Palestinians together. He just said that. Like, I don't know what the fuck is going on over there. That's Hamas. No, we over here in the West Bank. And even in the West Bank, you have a lot of the population there that align with Hamas's agenda.
I think you as well.
But here's the way I see it when you're talking about compromise. Hamas's charter says murder the Jews wherever they are, and the PA that are the hold on. But the PA that are the moderates.
You're going back to Hamas.
So, but the PA, the
We're not
Palestinian
talking
Authority,
about
the
them.
Palestinian Authority that are, let me finish. The Palestinian Authority that are the moderates, they're saying it's a death sentence if you sell your house to a Jew. Are there racist people in Israel? Of course. Are there racist people everywhere in the world? Yes. But we condemn people who are acting violently, and the other side glorifies it.
Violence is sometimes justified.
Facts. Facts. Facts.
Oh, I don't know.
Facts. Fuck you
If
mean?
you're going
Facts.
to attack Israel, then Israel is going to defend themselves. And that means when it comes to certain things, maybe not you specifically, but again, to the radical Muslims, we have to. Because if we don't, then there's not going to be a state of Israel anymore.
I don't think it's a matter of Israeli Arabs or Jews Christians. Sometimes in life you have to use violence. I hope it will be close to zero as possible. But if I see someone about to murder someone else, I think it's okay for me to use violence to stop that. I think violence is not allowed for a political goal. I think that's a bad place to use violence. I prefer talking and having a discourse.
Okay, I didn't grow up with a lot of violence, with zero violence. But what I want to say, the same as you said, who comes to my house to break the door to take my father, of course I will defend for myself. So it's called a violence. But I want to defend for myself.
First of all, I am against violence 100%. It's a freaking circle that's going to keep on happening over and over again.
For me, if you're gonna react for the violence with violence, so here we go. We're having like the same problems, the same generation who's raised with hatred and violence and love blood, which is not acceptable.
Having a homeland for my people is important to me.
Everybody should step up for that.
I think that Israel needs to be our homeland because if we won't have a homeland, no one else is going to accept us anywhere else, especially because there's a lot of racism and anti-Semitism as well. So if we're not going to be here, where are we going to go?
Okay, for me as a Muslim, the Holy Land, why it's so important. First of all, because I was born here. I have no place, another place.
Every single person around the world have the right to live in the place that they were born in. And that the right for Palestinians, also for, if we're gonna talk about refugees also, they have the right to come back here to their lands, to their homes, and have their places.
The fact that we came back to our homeland and that we do have a country and a government here, for me, like, it does feel like a miracle. But I also think that the fact that we do have the power now gives us more responsibility, and that we can't just base it on the fact that it's our homeland and not hear other voices saying we feel the same about the same place.
I often question my place in this conflict.
Let me y'all step up for that.
All the time I'm questioning if it's more dialogue, more force, more conversations, more social media. I always ask myself what is the best thing. I tend to believe that the best thing is human interaction.
A lot of times I take a step back from like the political argument about the conflict and all of that, just because I feel like unworthy and that I don't know enough.
So in my way, I've always known what I am in this conflict. I always knew I wanted to fight for peace. That's all I knew, and that's all I will ever know. I never was in the idea of this conflict until my father passed away, and then I had to think for myself.
I always was asking my father why I was born. And his answer, not to kill, to live, to be in life. And when my sister, she got killed, I went back to him to tell him, He told me I was born to live, not to kill. But my sister, she was born to die. The Palestinians, they didn't kill 6 million Israelis. And the Israelis still, they didn't kill 6 million Palestinians. There is a Germanian embassy in Tel Aviv, and there is a Israeli embassy in Germany. So it's a big hope. It always gives me a hope when I'm looking at this and thinking a little bit about this.
I gotta say, I think it's nice slogans. I don't think that's the case. Israel has a peace treaty with Egypt because Egypt was willing to have peace with Israel. Israel has a peace treaty with Jordan because the Jordanians were willing to have a peace treaty with Israel.
Also, from one to one, it's different. How the way you're thinking about it.
I agree, which is exactly why I don't believe in a peace between the two sides, because in my understanding of reality, the whole concept of Palestinian nationality...
Because you don't accept Palestinians.
I accept human beings. I'm saying that the whole concept of Palestinian nationality is one goal, and that is the annihilation of Israel. When Jordan took over Judea and Samaria, when Egypt took over Gaza, no one asked for a Palestinian
But you're combining everyone. You're combining every.
The whole agenda for Palestinians, not Hamas, Palestinians, is to get rid of Israel. It's a bold statement.
How the way you're thinking about it.
I agree, which is exactly why I don't believe in a peace between the two sides, because in my understanding of reality, the whole concept of Palestinian nationality...
Because you don't accept Palestinians.
I accept human beings. I'm saying that the whole concept of Palestinian nationality is one goal, and that is the annihilation of Israel. When Jordan took over Judea and Samaria, when Egypt took over Gaza, no one asked for a Palestinian
But you're combining
nationality.
everyone. You're combining everyone into one ideology, which is not right.
At all.
What do you mean?
You're saying because they're saying that they're Palestinian, this is what they want, which is not true.
I take it back. The Palestinian government, the Palestinian Authority.
There.
Okay, I'm not saying the Palestinian people.
There you go.
I agree. It's different. I'm going to say okay. I don't refer to the Arabs of Judea and Samaria as Palestinians. I refer to them as Arabs of Judea and Samaria.
If we were gonna live long age or long years, we're gonna see each other.
Great.
And
welcome. Welcome to come live with us.
we're gonna have it.
Palestinians, you can have it.
No, I'm talking about peace. We're gonna have it.
You know what? The biggest take I've gotten from this is all this artificial bullshit and conflict and the the media and the government perpetuates here in America for us to be pissed over is a bunch of nonsense. It ain't nothing that we're dealing with over here in America that even comes close to what the hell Israel and Palestine have been dealing with for decades, bruh. It should bring some perspective to everyone, regardless of who you are, how old you are, what race you are, what class you are. You know what I mean? Like, there's levels to this, man, and this shit should make us all feel that much more grateful for what we have over here in America, man. Because we ain't got to deal with this, bro. That's real shit over there. The shit over here is fucking fake. It's fucking fake.